Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to have everyone here settle in as we get ready and welcoming Shabbat together on this beautiful, warm spring day, but it feels like a summer day here in New York. We'll bring in that warmth after a long week, taking in the calmness of Shabbat, the peace of Shabbat, and we turn to page 10 or page 252 if you're using the Sim Shalom, if you're joining us from afar, for Yedid Nefesh, opening our hearts, opening our souls to the possibility, the love of Shabbat.
Yedid Nefesh harachamam nishloch avdach el retzonah yarutz avdach ish
Continue on page 11 or page 254 with the Chune Ranana.
לצור איש אנו לקדמה פניו בתודה בזמירות נריה לו
Arba'im shana akud bezo laoma toy levapen vehem lo yadu drachai asher nishbati ve'api im yevaun al menuchati. page 15. Adonai Malach
שם אהבת תשמח ציון ותגלנה בנות יהודה למען משפטך אדוני.
כי אתה אדוני עליון על כל הארץ, מאוד נעלית על כל אלוהים.
אוהבי אדוני סינורה, שומר נפשות חסידם, יד רשעים יצילם.
זרו על הצדיק ולשרי לב שמחה, שמחו צדיקות באדוני והודו לזכר קודשו.
מזמור שיר
Top
לאדוני
of
שיר
page 17,
חדש,
מזמור שיר לאדוני שיר חדש.
הודיע אדוני ישועתו לעיני הגויים.
הנה גויים זכר חסדו ואמונתו לבית.
הריעו לאדוני כל הארץ, פיצחו ואננו. ירם הים עומדו, תבל ויושבבה, נערות ימחוך, יחד הרים יבנינו.
לפני אדוני כי בא לשפוט הארץ, לשפוט תבל בצדק רבים במישרים.
אדוני מלך יגזר
Adonai Malach, top of page 19. Adonai Malach,
משה ואהרון וכהנה ושמואל בקורא שמו קוראים אל אדוני והוא יענה.
בעמוד ענן ידבר עליהם, שמרו עדותיו לחוק נתן לעמו.
אדוני אלוהינו אתה ניתם, אל נוסע איתה להם, ונוקם על עלילותם.
רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו.
We rise, if you're able, page 21 or page 260, Mizmor LeDavid.
מזמור לדוד, הבו לאדוני בני אלי. הבו לאדוני כבוד שמו. כל אדוני על עמי
seated. Turn to Lechado D, page 23 or 262.
מקדש מלך ומצאים אוי רב לך שבט והוא יחמור לך אדוני לקראת קלה בין שבת נקבלה אני אאמין ונבנתה עיר התפילה איי 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 לך דודי איי 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 לקראת קלה איי 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 בין שבת דודי היי 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 לקראת קלה היי 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 בני שבת נקבלה והיו נמשיסה שעושייך ורחקו כל מבלייך יסיס עלייך אלוהייך ימסוס קטן קטן הקלה היי 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 לך דודי היי 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 לקראת קלה היי 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 בני שבת נקבלה ימין ושמאל תפרוצי ואת אדוני תריצי על ידי שפט פרצי ונשמחה ונגילה היי 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 לך דודי היי 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 לקראת קלה היי 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 בני שבת נקבלה היי 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 לך דודי היי 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 בני שבת נקבלה יללה לילה 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 שבת נקבלה בואי בשלום עטרת בנה גם בשמחה ובצולה תוך אמוני הסגולה בואי חלה שבת המלכה היי 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 לך דודי היי 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 לקראת קלה היי 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 בני שבת נקבלה היי 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 לך דודי היי 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 לקראת קלה היי 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 בני שבת נקבלה.
We remain facing the door, welcoming in our mourners and a community. We mourn the death of Stephen Sklar's father, Jerry Sklar, and inviting in Stephen Sklar, Amy Wallace, and their children, Andrew and Michael. And we turn saying the words of comfort on page 26 together. Hamakom yenachem etchem betoch shar avlei Tzion v'Yerushalayim min hashamayim tinuchmu. May we find comfort from heaven. May the divine comfort you along with all of the other mourners of Zion and Yerushalayim. We continue. May be seated on page 27 or page 266 with the Psalm for Shabbat.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, ולזמר לשמך.
בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות.
צדיק אתה מראה כרס ולבנון יזכה
שתולים בבית אדוני וחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו.
עוד ינוחו בצבאת השנים ורעננים יהיו
להגיד כי השעיה צורים לא עברת בו אדוני מלך ונקדש
מקולות מים רבים אדירים משבריהם
אדיר במרום אדוני עדותיך עלינו מאוד.
לביתך נאו הקודש אדוני לאורך ימים
לביתך נאו הקודש אדוני לאורך ימים.
We invited all of our children to join us, anyone under the age of B'nai Mitzvah, for a blessing. We have lots of you in here. Come join us. Underneath our talit, we'll have also, if we have some family members, grown-ups who can come help us hold our very large talit, which seems like it's not even big enough anymore. It felt so big, and now we have so many children here, so I invite you up. Even if you're having a bat mitzvah, mitzvah tomorrow, you're welcome to join us. Ness, come on up, come on up. Yes, and all of our 6th graders, come join us. We want to bless you. Come on down.
המלאך הגואל אותי מכל רע יברך את הנערים ויקרב עליהם שמי בשם אבותיי בשם אבותיי אברהם ויצחק ויתגו לרוב בקרב הארץ.
And our families this evening were able to write their own blessings of their children. Before we say the traditional blessings, we're going to invite up Heather Berman to share the blessing that her family wrote, and also the Kaplan family will come and share the blessing that they wrote for their children and for all of us.
May God keep you safe and happy. May God keep you healthy and awake. May God see your truest self and love you for it. May God surround you with people who love you. May God bless you with sustenance and shelter. May God help and support you.
Beautiful.
May God let you learn, grow, and blossom. May God let you stand out from others. May God allow you to follow your dreams. May God restore your breath, your shine, and your spirit. May God keep you safe and comfortable. May God let you know that you are wonderful just the way you are.
Beautiful. We say the traditional words together. Yisimcha Elohim ke'Ephraim v'chemenashe. Yisimech Elohim ke'Sara Rivka Rachel v'Leah. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha. Shalom.
Amen.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And we'll invite our families to head upstairs for dinner. And as they leave, as quietly as possible, we'll sing a little bit here. Ba-na-na-na-na-na. Ya-na-ni-na-na-yo. Ya-na-na-na-yo.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
This is a double parasha, Behar Bechukotai, and it closes the book of Vayikra, the book of Leviticus, and it contains Parashat Bechukotai. I think the Bnei Mitzvah are speaking tomorrow, or at least the Bar Mitzvah is speaking about the Jubilee year and the Shemitah, and so Becca too. Laura, we're moving into Bamidbar, so you're probably saying something about Bamidbar. But so those ideas are in Parashat Bahar, but in Bechukotai is the famous Tochacha. It's the rebuke, where it contains a number of beautiful blessings that are short and then and occupy not that much space, and then a long list of curses that occupy a lot of space. They're punishments for not following God's ways, and they come in graphic detail. And the curses are traditionally read, and you'll probably, well, actually we're not reading them tomorrow because of the triennial reading, but if you come here on a Shabbat morning when we are reading them, we read them in a low voice. They're traditionally read in a softer voice because you don't want to kind of in loud speak curses. And some people even leave the synagogue when the curses are read, and it's often not the aliyah that you want to get an alifah for. So often a rabbi takes the aliyah for the curses. None of us have to do that this year. The Chafetz Chaim compares the practice of someone saying them in a low voice or leaving the sanctuary to a person who was warned not to walk through a certain path because it was filled with thorns and dangerous obstacles, and that person didn't heed the warnings and decided to walk along the path, though they didn't take one precaution. They did take one precaution. They blindfolded themselves, put a covering over their eyes so they wouldn't see the various dangers. So, and of course, blindfolding themselves made the trip that much more dangerous, right? You're walking through thorns and dangerous obstacles, not being able to see. Obviously, there are many people who don't have sight and figure out how to maneuver through dangerous obstacles. But the analogy, the metaphor that he's making is if we say them in a low voice or if we leave the room, it's like if we don't hear it or if we don't see it, if we don't know it, we don't listen to it, then nothing bad will happen. Right? It's like as long as I don't look or I don't hear, I don't internalize, I don't pick up the paper in the morning, then nothing bad will have happened in the last 24 hours. And what the Chafetz Chaim teaches is that the tochacha, the rebuke, is actually meant to arouse people to perform the commandments. They're to be read in order because they're conditional. It says im, if you do this, and if you don't do this. So the purpose, the Chafetz Chaim says, is listen to them, hear them, take them in order to awaken the desire to live in God's ways, to walk a path of righteousness and justice, and to serve God. So it's an interesting tension that we kind of want to be protected from the curses. We don't even want to listen to them or hear them. And yet, part of the function of them being there is to arouse something in us. And if we say them in a quiet voice, that's not going to happen. And particularly if we leave the room, certainly not going to happen. Unless you're on live stream, and then you can hear them at home. One doesn't necessarily have to read the list of curses and all their gory details to be attentive to the brokenness and pain and curses in the world. Just this week, rockets have been flying between Israel and Gaza. My friend Chen, who was here for my son's bar mitzvah just a couple of weeks ago, she and her husband Guy grew up in a kibbutz, Be'eri, which is on the border of Gaza. And she said all their family has fled the kibbutz and gone down to Eilat in order to evacuate, since no one feels safe and there's a deep concern that war is going to erupt. And one Israeli citizen has died from his wounds. That just happened in the last 24 hours. And a number of others have been wounded. And of course, Palestinians in Gaza have nowhere to flee because they're shut in. And innocent women and children and men have been killed. Right now, 30 people have been killed in Gaza. And in our own country, the availability of guns continues to cause unimaginable suffering and death, and gun violence is the leading cause of premature death in our country. And just last week, Jordan Neely, right here in our own city, was put in a chokehold on the subway and died. Those with mental illness are not safe, nor are there enough supportive services, and there is much fear around threatening behavior because of the nature of our world. And that someone on the subway literally took their hands and took a person's own life because of that fear. We have a migrant crisis. There are abortion bans. So there's elimination of support legislation for trans youth. So there are one doesn't have to look to the Torah to see the gory curses play out. Sometimes I think we put on a spiritual blindfold. It's like it's easier to close off the pain. This is not an actual vision thing from a literal sense of vision. It's like we would rather cut ourselves off and not want to know the pain of the world or the pain of another. We don't want to feel the intensity of the brokenness. It's just too much. And it feels like, particularly in these last years, with the pandemic and all the things happening, it's relentless. Sometimes I do feel I don't want to open the door in the morning and pick up the paper. So part of what the Chafetz Chaim is trying to teach is that it is actually in the interaction with the idea of curses, that fear, that trembling, that awe, that awakens us to choose a different path, personally and communally. For all of God's frustration, so the curses are outlined in a significant amount of detail, and then towards the end of after they're done, God's frustration is expressed through the curses, all the bad things that the people have done manifest in God's punishment. And this is not only true in the Tochacha in this week's parasha, it's the essence of what the prophets are about, right? You have strayed, you have abandoned, you have done idolatrous things, immoral things, you have spurned God's ways. And the Torah's response is, despite our turning away from God, despite all the ways we abuse and destroy and are greedy, at the end of the parasha, there are actually two responses to that experience of how we spurn God and how we turn away. And the response given in Parashat Bechukotai, which is pretty much the consistent response of our tradition for millennia, is two things. One, you can change. There's tshuva. You can come back to your essence. Forgiveness is possible. You can turn back and make a tikkun. You can heal some of that brokenness. And that's what God desires. And the second is God will always be ready to receive us in love, no matter how frustrated God has been. That's the story that the end of the parasha tells us. So there are no quick and easy theological solutions to the heartbreak and the violence of this world, nor of how the theology of reward and punishment is outlined in the Torah itself. And as Rabbi Harold Kushner, Zichrono Livracha, who just died this past week, actually last week, he wrote the famous book, When Bad Things Happen to Good People, to address that very, very question, because he had a child. I mean, he was a rabbi, so he saw a lot of suffering, just like we all do. But he had a child who had, I forget the name of the illness, but who actually ages your child like 20 years in the course of a year. So a child who died at the age of like 8, although he looked like he was 80. And he basically in his book teaches that there are no guarantees, right? Like that we live in this sphere and mystery of the universe, and mysteries we will never have the answer to. God is not doling out those punishments, but we have to, in a sense, live with that uncertainty, and that, in a sense, that awe and mystery of the universe is actually should push us to do what we can do with our life. And the notion of the curses, I think, as hard as they are and as uncomfortable as they are, is to actually ask us to be spiritually awake, to be motivated for change, to be incredulous about what is happening, and being willing to encounter the pain of the world and the fear and the consequences of bad decisions, to be in touch with it in ourselves and in the world, and not to carton ourselves off. And Shabbat is the day that reminds us most profoundly of that despite the curses, we actually are invited when we come into the sanctuary, when the sun sets on Friday night, to imagine something different. We don't actually stay in the day-to-day of what just happened. In fact, each psalm is to try to recognize there are 6 psalms that lead us to Lechadodi. Okay, Sunday happened, say goodbye to Sunday. Monday happened, say goodbye to Monday. We actually want to arrive here to release the week, to invite in a different story. It's a day to search deeply and pray deeply for renewal and restoration and change, and to give us the strength to return to the world tomorrow night after this cocoon of this 25 hours. And it's also a day of love. It's a day of reliving a wedding. Actually, people who get married are supposed to eat a honey on their challah on Shabbat for a year. It's a day, actually it's a mitzvah to have sex on Shabbat because it's a day of love and unification. It's a day of the love of community. And it's a day of being attentive to the blessings of what are, and to open ourselves to God and each other in love. I think part of that's why we come together, is because we want that feeling. So part of listening and confronting the tochacha, the rebuke that's in this week's parasha, and the rebuke that lives in the world, is how to become alive and cherish blessing. So as we close the book of Vayikra, the Shabbat, let us be strengthened by choosing a path of blessing, and even with the thorns and the obstacles that exist. And though we come to close the books and chapters of our lives, let us never close the door to tshuva or to love. We turn now to Baruch Hu, page 39a. I invite you to rise, or page 279.
Baruch hu et Adonai, המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
May be seated. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'yamav.
מעביר יום ומביא לילה, מבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב הרבים.
Avat Olam, page 40. Avat Olam, page 40. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ההם נגע יומם ולילה, ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובמלאכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. בהם שמות תשמעו. ויאמר אדוני משה לאמור דבר בני ישראל. Amen. כוזות וקיים
כף כל העריצים
We pray for redemption, page 44. ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים
ובני ישראל, לך אנו שירה בשמחה רבה. באלים אדוני מי כמוך נהדר בקודש
We pray for peace and protection, page 45. Ashkivenu Adonai, Genevinu Neshalom, Amidenu Malkeinu Lechayim, Ufos Aleinu.
Ufros Aleinu סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ועל ירושלים.
Please rise, Vishamu, page 46. For the silent Amidah, which begins the formal text on page 47 or page 296 and 296, or the prayers of your own heart. Standing, page 53 or 314.
ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו אלוהי אברהם אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב אלוהי שרה אלוהי רבקה אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא אל עליון קונה שמיים וארץ
מגן אבות בהדברו וחיי מתים במעברו האל הקדוש שאין כמוהו
ומניח דמו ביום שבת קודשו כי גם רצה להניח לב
לפניו נעבוד בלב הפחד ונודה לשמו בכל יום תמיד
ועוד הברכות אל הודעות אדון השלום מקדש השבת וברך שביעי
מניח בקדושה לעמד ושני עונג זוכר למעשה ראשית
אלוהינו אלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו רצה במנוחתנו קדשנו את זאתך ותן חלקנו בתורתך סבינו מטובך ושמח נפשנו מישועתך ותאר ליבנו לעובדך באמת והנחילנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה וברצון שבת קודשך וינוחו בישראל מקדשי שמך ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
אמן.
Kaddish Shalem, page 54.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה ועמדי רק ירתה בהמליך מלכותי בחייכון ובמלכון ובחיי תכל בית ישראל בעגלה בזמן קריב אמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מברך ועולם מעלמיה יתברך
וישתבח ויתפאר מתשובה וינסה ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודש הברכו לעולם עם כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דמי פרן מיומה ויאמרו אמן
תתקבל צלותיון ואותיון לכל ישראל קודם אבוהון די וישמעיה ואמרו אמן
אמן יהי שלום הרב אמין שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן עושה
שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו
This Shabbat we have two B'nai Mitzvah. We'll invite them to lead us in Kiddush on page 55. We invite Ness Erskine Raisin, who will be called to the Torah tomorrow morning as a Bar Mitzvah, and Laura Ellsberg, who will be called to the Torah tomorrow afternoon as a Bat Mitzvah at Mincha. And we're sharing some juice. Those who are at home are welcome to get a cup of wine or of grape juice to join us in Kiddush. We turn now to Aleinu, page 56.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות באדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים
הוא אלוהינו כן
ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
We invite those who are marking a yard site or those who are in mourning to remain standing, and those who are on Zoom to unmute at this time for Mourners Kaddish on page 58 or 324. Yitgadal v'kadash shemei Rabba.
Amen.
Be'ama divra hirutei v'amlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'gala u'v'zman kariv v'yemru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam olamei omayam. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei l'kudesha brichu. Le'ila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Da'amiran be'ama v'yemru Amen. Yehei shlama Rabba min Shemaya, Mechayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yemru Amen. Oseh shalom v'yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yemru Amen. May be seated. Shabbat shalom to everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Everyone who's in the sanctuary, everyone who's joining us on live stream or Zoom. We want to once again extend our condolences to Stephen Sklar and Amy Wallace on the death of Stephen's father, Jerry Sklar, this past week. We want to wish a big mazal tov to Nas and to Laura and to your families who are here to celebrate your B'nai Mitzvah. And to Linda Golding, a longtime member on being named the 2023 Nursing Excellence Friend of Nursing at New York Presbyterian Hospital. And we want to let everyone know and wish a mazal tov to our Marshall T. Meyer Rabbinic Fellow Aaron Levin on his appointment as the Associate Rabbi at Nefesh in Los Angeles, and our former Marshall T. Meyer Rabbinic Fellow Grace Gleason on her appointment as Rabbi at Beth David Synagogue in Greensboro, North Carolina. They're going to be ordained, become rabbis this week, along with Adam Gilman and some other members of our community. Andrew Mandel became a rabbi this past week, Alex Hamilton, Stephanie Gerund, and so we're going to celebrate them on June 3rd when Aaron will give the Devar Torah. Our next community Shabbat dinner will be Friday, May 19th, which is this coming Friday, a week from tonight, with Roli and special guests from the Israeli-American Council Givanim Fellowship Retreat, which is a group of leaders from Israel that come and in order to see the Jewish community in America. I think it would be particularly a powerful time to be amongst Israelis at this time, to see what they're feeling and experiencing, and rather than just reading it in the news. So everyone is welcome to join for the dinner. Tomorrow morning, services will be at 9:30, and there are children's services at 11, and then Mincha with Laura's Bat Mitzvah will be at 5 p.m. Sunday is Mother's Day, which I know is...
There's a family service also at 10:30.
Okay. Great to know. 10:30. Sunday is Mother's Day, which for many is a beautiful day. For some, it's a particularly hard day. And this Mother's Day, we're going to have Meet Your Neighbors Mother Day Brunch. We're joining in partnership with Knock Knock Give a Sock, which is building stronger communities by bringing neighbors together for Mother's Day. So we're celebrating and inviting mothers and children living in local homeless shelters to be in our space and have brunch together. You can sign up on the website to participate in the brunch, and if you're there are volunteers, so you don't have to be a mother, and you don't have to be everyone's a child, but you don't have to be a mother to participate in the brunch. It's a beautiful opportunity to talk about proximity, to get to know our neighbors and understand and celebrate who we are together. Monday evening, we have a book talk with our BJ members, Lisa Honig-Buxbaum, on Soaring into Strength, Love Transcending Pain, and everyone is welcome to come. That's going to be in person and online. And then Wednesday, we continue our Pirkei Avot series with our former fellow Rabbi Jonah Geffen, who's the rabbi at Hunter Hillel, and he'll be exploring Pirkei Avot. That's Wednesday evening at 7:15. And next Monday, Roli will be in a conversation with Rabbi Ed Feld, who has a new book called The Book of Revolutions, The Battles of Priests, Prophets, and Kings That Birthed the Torah, which is a fascinating exploration of that period of our history. Everyone is welcome to come. It's going to be online. And just a couple more things, which is we're looking to Shavuot. Shavuot is not this coming week, but the week after. On Thursday evening, we'll join together at 9:30 for Mariv, and then we're going to have a Leil Shavuot Tish, which is going to be up on the roof, weather permitting, that's the word. Permitting.
I'm teaching.
And we'll be having a light meal and study and singing with all of us, Roli, Becca, and myself, as well as our fellows, Alyssa and Aaron. And then we're going to be making our way to the Paul Feig Tikkun Leil Shavuot, Zichrono Livracha, who is the brother of our longtime member, Jeff Feig, his twin brother who died many years ago in an accident. And there's an all-night tikkun at the JCC, which participating in, and Becca, Roli, and I will be teaching a session there at 12:30. And then there'll be a 4:45 sunrise rooftop shacharit, weather permitting, and 10 a.m. for those who of us who are going to be at 10 a.m. and children's services, and then a community picnic, and then we'll go from there. And finally, the annual meeting is on June 6th at 7:15. We hope everyone will join. We'll conclude with the Igdal on page 62 or 326.
יגדל אלוהים חי וישתבח נמצא ונדל מציאותו אחד ויחיד יהי ייחודו לעם ודור לאינסוף ואחדותו לא דמות הגוף ואינו גוף לא נערוך אליו קדושתו
לכל דבר אשר נברא ראשון ובראשית בראשיתו
הינו אדון עולם וכל נוצר יורה גדולתו ומלכותו
שפע נבואתו נתנו אנשי סגולתו ותפארתו
לא קם בישראל כמו שעוד נביא ומביט את אמונתו
תורת אמת נתן לאהרון היה הנביא לא נחל ביתו
לא יחליף האל ולא ימיר דתו לעולמים לזולתו
סופר ויודע תארנו מביט בסוף דרכו
וקמתו גומל לאיש חסד כמפעלו נותן לרשע כרשעתו
נשלח בקץ ימים נשיבנו לפתור בך
יחייל ברוב חסדו ברוך עדי עד שם תהילתו מתי יחייל ברוב חסדו ברוך עדי עד שם תהילתו.
Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yivarech et amav b'shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.